Hello, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing? So I got a chance to watch the video. Was it Hebrew Israelites invade Christian live stream? This was with brother Hassad. Okay. I didn't go. As you can see, that thing is like 3 hours and 23 minutes. I didn't have to go that far because I already know there's always been this conflict about the law of God and whether or not the Gentiles are on the same plane as Israel. No, they're not. The Father made it clear they're not on the same plane. Okay, He's going to accept them, no doubt, if they believe in the way. By the way, Christians are not believing in the way. Christians believe in Christianity. They follow all that stuff, and their doctrines are. There are plenty of those that are false. Okay, so I'm watching these Israelite camps are basically birthed out of One West, out of New York, up there in New York. Okay, these guys have been spreading out and teaching these doctrines, but they are giving our people an awareness of who they are, and that's not just them alone too. There's other information coming out too. Okay, outside of Hebrew Israelites. Okay, they're confirming who we are. Okay, they're not even Israelites, and they're still confirming and seeing the information. Okay, so anyways, I'll deal with it because I have to do another video regarding Marquette Devon or whatever the heck his name is. I'll light him up in a few minutes, but let me get this out the way first. Okay, so you guys keep having this problem with the law, okay, and whether or not Israel's going to be, what's the difference between the Gentiles and Israel? It says it in the scriptures. The Gentiles are also embraced into the kingdom. It actually says that in Isaiah as well. The foreigners, how they have access to salvation if they want to bind themselves to the covenant that Yasharel has, okay? But I'm going to knock this out. Let's do a couple things. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. I'm going to try to give you guys a rundown. First, I'm going to just knock out the stuff about the Christians because Christianity is false. And I'm going to take it from one of your favorite dudes, right? You guys love you some Paul. Brother Paul said this. Paul said that. Paul said this. The Messiah said this. Well, you should be going by the Most High said this. Okay, but you like going with Paul. Go to Acts chapter 9, verses 1 to 2. And here's what happens here. It says, now Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked for letters from him to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any belonging to the way, both men and women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. And it came about as he journeyed, he was approaching Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him, and he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? That's the Messiah. Pops in. Messiah's not a Christian. Saul didn't recognize them as Christians. That's right there in Acts chapter 9. No such thing as Christian. Okay, let's go further. All right. And by the way, they were first called Christians from what? Antioch. Like I said, Antioch is what? That was the stronghold of Satan. That was the area. That's in Turkey. Okay, if you understand what's going on. Galatia, Ephesus, Cappadocia, Laodicea, Philadelphia, Smyrna, what's the other one? Pergamos. All right, Pergamon. That's all inside that area of Turkey. Okay? The Messiah sent a strategic attack of the church, the 7 churches, to go in there. That's when Paul's writing these epistles, by the way. Okay? Unbelievable. People don't even know what's going on. All right, let's see here. Go to Acts chapter 24. I have no clue. You Christians have no spirit. You have no spirit of God. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't even been baptized. You guys don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of sad. And that includes all your pastors and your leaders. The whole thing. I can throw the whole thing in the trash. And I mean the whole thing. Go to, because the Father never authorized or ordained it. Acts chapter 24. Let's look at verse 14. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 5. When Paul's being persecuted by those, he says, they're saying this, for we have found this man a real pest. That's verse 5 of chapter 24 of Acts. And a fellow who stirs up dissension among all the Jews throughout the world and is a ringleader of the sect of Nazarenes, right? You see that right there, verse 5? Sect of Nazarenes. Has nothing to do with Christianity. There's no Christianity there. Nothing. Okay? Nobody recognized Christianity at that particular point. There's no such thing. Okay? It's going back to something in the past, like the father talked about. And I'll show you that in a second. But I want to make sure we're clear. So they're accusing him, and they know that he's of a sect of Nazarenes. They're not calling him a Christian. Paul didn't call himself a Christian. Okay? So we go on further down, start verse 14. He's responding, but this, Paul says, okay, but this I admit to you, that according to the way, here we go with that again, all right, which they call a sect, I do serve the God of our fathers, believing everything that is in accordance with the law and that is written in the prophets, having a hope in God, which these men cherish themselves, that there shall certainly be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked. First resurrection, second resurrection. That's what he's talking about. Okay. So now, Paul's letting them know, yeah, I'm of the sect. I'm of that. I agree. I'm in the way. No Christianity. Still, no Christianity here. Nowhere. Okay. All right. So we keep going. Then we go to Acts chapter 26, right? And we're going to look at verse 28 and 29. I'll start at verse 27. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you do. And Agrippa replied to Paul, in a short time, you will persuade me to become a Christian. Now, you see the word Christian pop up, right? Watch this. Watch what Paul says. And Paul said, I would to God that whether in a short or a long time, not only you, but also all who hear me this day might become such as I am, except for these chains. Now, Paul never said he was a Christian. You won't even see him say that there. But he did say he was of the sect of Nazarene, but he also told you he was in the way. What is the way in the scripture? What does that mean? It's the order of Melchizedek. It's always been. So let's go down and give you guys a rundown. Let's do it this way. I'm going to start from Exodus chapter 19. Go to Exodus chapter 19, verses 2 through 6. Since these guys can't seem to get this law understood and understand what's going on, I'm going to break it down to you so you guys get it. Because both you Israelites and Christians need to get this straightened out. The ones who need the information, here you go. All right? I know these other folks got you all confused and they don't know what they're talking about. They got you guys believing some nonsense you're not supposed to be believing. That's not what the Father told you to do. And see, you guys are making mistakes when you do stuff like that. Okay, Exodus chapter 19. Let's get it from right where it goes. Let's start it off. Exodus 19, verse, let's see here. Let's go where I need to go. Where am I going here? We'll start at verse 2. Okay. When they set out from, let's see. No, I'm going to go to verse 3. Yeah, verse 3. And Moses went up to the sovereign, and the sovereign called to him from the mountain, saying, thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the sons of Israel, you yourself have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now then, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be my own possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you shall speak to the sons of Yasharel. Okay, so he does that right off the bat, before even the commandments come down, before the statutes, ordinances, and judgments, before any of that comes out. He's saying, look, I want you guys to be part of the royal priesthood, part of the way, the order of Melchizedek, just like the Messiah. This is what the Most High himself is saying, that before he even gets going with everything else, he says this, let them know this. That verse number 6 is very important for you guys. You better keep it up and pay attention. Now, that is talking about the royal priesthood, the order of Melchizedek, the way. All right? That's what the Messiah was in. Let's go on. Jeremiah 31. Some of this I got to give for Israelites, and I got to do the other side for the friggin' so-called Christians. All right? And you Israelites, you keep teaching my people this false information, man. I'm getting tired of this, so you guys better cut it out. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 31. Let's deal with this, because a lot of them are trying to say, no, we still need to go with the law of Moses. No, you don't. Because when they say the law, they're really saying the law of Moses. That's what they're talking, because there's a difference. There's the law of God, which is the 10 Commandments, and then there's the law, statutes, ordinances, and judgments, or the judgments given by the lawgiver, was the Moshe. And even some of what Moshe gave, even the Messiah didn't agree with it, like divorce, for instance. Moses allowed you to have a certificate of divorce, but since the beginning it was not so. That's the Messiah himself saying that. But we're not under that anymore. We don't have anything to do with that. Moving on. And there's reasons because we are scattered. Ay. Boy, take some serious critical thinking here. Jeremiah chapter 31, go to verse 32. Let's see what we got here. Now, this is what the Father says. He's talking about the new covenant. And I'll break down what that new covenant is too as well. Okay? He says this, behold, let's start at verse 31. Behold, the days are coming, declares the sovereign, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, or Yasharel, and with the house of Judah. Notice they're separate now. They're broken in two pieces. Now, like the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant which they broke. So it's a broken covenant already. There's no repairing that. It's broke. Okay? Although I was a husband to them, declares the sovereign. But this is the covenant which I will make with the house of Yasharel after those days, declares the Lord, the sovereign. I will put my law within them and on their heart, and I will write it, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Oh, my gosh. They're like, oh, well, that means we got to go back to the statutes, orders, and judgments of Moshe. No, don't. He already told you it's not going to be like the law of the covenant was between our forefathers. So this is different. Okay, so we go over to, let's start to see some of the differences here. We go to Ezekiel. It's very important these people start, understanding what the prophets tell them. Gosh, man. Ezekiel chapter 36. Let's go to verse 22. Alrighty here. This is what it says here. Therefore, say to the house of Israel, thus says the sovereign God, it is not for your sake, O house of Yasharel, that I am about to act, but for my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you went. And I will vindicate the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. Sounds like some of my Israelite brothers and sisters in those particular camps that had One West stuff. Be careful. Okay? I am the sovereign, declares the sovereign God. When I prove myself holy among you in their sight. For I will take you from the nations, gather you from all the lands, and bring you into your own land. This is not taking place. So those people claiming to be us are not us. They're not even in the proper boundary. They're fighting over a little piece of land, and they still got to take land from Jordan, because the Jordanians have some of our land too, by the way. So I don't know why these Christians don't seem to catch that part. Seem to just, shh, be quiet. But anyways, moreover, I will give you, he says this, then I will, here we go. For I will take you from the land, I will take you from the nations, gather you from all the lands, and bring you into your own land. Verse 25, then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols. Moreover, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will be careful to observe my ordinances. And you will live in the land that I gave to your forefathers. So you will be my people, and I will be your God. Sounds familiar with what we just read, right? Okay, let's go over to, now, he's talking about this covenant, right? So it's going to be a different covenant, obviously, in Jeremiah. Ezekiel's, he's coming back and he's showing what he's going to do, what's part of that covenant, because he's going to have to baptize all Yasharel, and that means all of us, not if and a but, because all Yasharel has to be brought into the royal priesthood, the way, the order of Melchizedek. All Yasharel, no ifs, ands, or buts. All the resurrected, all the ones who were surviving at the time when the Messiah comes back, they all have to be put into the order of Melchizedek. Every last one of them. That means from the oldest one of us to the youngest one of us, okay? From way in the past to also those in the present, or the future, really, at that particular time. All right, now, we go into chapter 37, just one chapter over, and go to, let's see here, what's the verse? Verse 26. And he says this, I will make a covenant of peace. That's the actual covenant. It's right here in Ezekiel. The covenant of peace with them. It will be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in their midst forever. What is this talking about? Well, when he brings the new city, Jerusalem, down. Now we're already resurrected. We're already brought back to our own land. Now we're being baptized by water and given the Ruach, his Ruach, the Spirit, and we got a new heart of flesh, being basically, like it says in the scriptures, the Messiah said, born again. That's exactly what he's talking about. All right. All of us have to go into the royal priesthood. All Yasharel has to go into the royal priesthood. There's not an if, and, or but. That is an absolute. There is no getting around it. There is no other covenant you need to be playing around with. There's no other laws you need to be addressing, except the ones that he said that he wants done. And you're going to be doing that by spirit. You're going to have what is known, I like to say, the godly instinct. It's going to be right there. And like he said in Jeremiah, we're going to do it. And he says it here. We're going to do it. Why? Because we have the godly instinct. We have the Ruach right there inside each and every last one of us. This is what we were talking about in the New Testament. As they say, the New Testament, when you believe in the Messiah, you're supposed to get baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That's what you're supposed to be doing, because that's bringing you into the new covenant. Unbelievable. Go to Hosea. Go to the prophets. I'm gonna hit them with the prophets. Hosea, chapter 4. Let's go to verse 6. Oh, you guys love this one, right? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. I also will reject you from being my priest. He's speaking to the people. He's not speaking to Aaron. He's not speaking to just the Levites. He's speaking to all Yasharel, because he already talked about that in Exodus chapter 19. Now this is coming to that point. It's moving right to that point. Messiah hasn't got here yet. Messiah comes, boom, transfer. But we'll see how that all plays out too. So he's talking about you got to be part of the royal priesthood. Now, Israel, if you don't want to be part of the royal priesthood, don't be. If you don't be in part of the royal priesthood as the Father has instructed according to you lack that knowledge, you reject it, he rejects you from being one of his priests. That means you're going to be resurrected in the second resurrection, not the first. Because you denied what he wanted for you. You didn't want the new covenant. You wanted to go back to the old one. He says, no, it's not the old one. You're going to the new one. I was talking about that before I even gave you the statutes, ordinances, and commandments, before I even gave you the 10 commandments and the statutes, ordinances, and judgments. Before I even did that, I'm going to say, look, this is what I want you guys to do. You guys have been going to the royal priesthood. Believable, man. And that's not talking about Christianity. Therefore, all this stuff that Christians talk about doesn't mean anything. It ain't worth a hill of beans. Nothing. Because they're not in the royal priesthood. Yasharel, is our responsibility to show them and bring them to that place, because salvation is of the Yahudim, as the Messiah said. Y'all need to get your head screwed on straight. Study to show yourself approved, a workman, then be ashamed, handling accurately the word of truth. You need to get on it. All right. So we see that in Hosea. All of this is linking to one thing. The royal priesthood, the order of Melchizedek, not Christianity. This is what Paul said. He was a member. He was a part of the sect of the royal priesthood. That's what he's part of. Not Christianity. Zechariah. Let's go to Zechariah. And I want to do it this way. So you see, I'm going right through the Bible. All the way. I'm going straight all the way to Revelation. Matter of fact, I could have, by the way, you can add one in there. I'll just tell you. Psalms 110. You might as well put that in there as we go along anyway. Now we'll go to Zechariah chapter 6. Where's my, whoops. Went the wrong way. People claim to know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about, man. That really gets on my, that kind of ticks me off. And Yasharel, you're supposed to be leading the way and giving them the proper education. And too many of you guys are too busy trying to be yelling and throwing down Edom and Esau. You don't have to worry about that. The Father got that under control. If you understand the covenant and the promises, believable, man. You're preaching hate and stuff like, you can't be doing that. That's not what we're supposed to be doing, you big boneheads. Okay, Zechariah chapter 6. Because you want to get the white man so bad. Boy, you're so foolish. Anyways, They're going to get everybody's going to get what they deserve according to their deeds. That's what the Messiah said. And that's how it's going to be. Case closed. Okay, so Zechariah chapter 6. Let's go down to, let's see here. I'm going to go start at verse 11. The verse that locks it in is verse 13. And take the silver and gold and make an ornamental crown and set it on the head of Yahshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. Then say to him, thus says the Lord of hosts, behold, a man whose name is Branch, for he will branch out from where he is, and he will build the temple of the sovereign, or Yahuwah. Yes, it is he who will build the temple of the sovereign, and he who bears the honor, he who bear the honor and sit and rule on his throne. Thus he will be a priest on his throne, and the council of peace will be between the two offices. That's the royal priesthood right there. That is the order of Melchizedek, just like the father was talking about, Exodus 19. That's what they're talking about in Jeremiah. That's what they're talking about in Ezekiel 36 and Ezekiel 37. That's what they're talking about in Hosea 4 and 6. Now we're talking about Zechariah 6, okay, 11 through 13. We're still talking about the royal priesthood. We haven't left it. We're still there. Then you got Psalms 110 to add with that. Let's move on. Now let's jump forward because I want to make sure you get it. We're going through the scriptures. We ain't going to play no games. And here are verses. And I want Israelites to definitely go read it. And you Christians, you better get your act together because you guys are in the false faith in the first place. So you're definitely in trouble. But I have an obligation to make sure I tell my people of the house of Israel so they don't get themselves all jacked up and messed up, listening to all that nonsense and dealing with you guys and stuff you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't. And any of you so-called ministers of Christianity, step up and watch what happened to you. You see, I already got it here. Okay, let's go to Hebrews chapter 7, right? From Hebrews chapter 7, verse 11 to 24. Now, here's for the Christians and for the Israelites, so you all get it clear, all right? Now, if perfection was through the Levitical priesthood, for on the basis of it, the people received the law. The law. The Levitical priesthood is based and connected to what? The law. So when you think of the law, you have to bind it with the Levitical priesthood. Remember that. And that's what a lot of these Israelites are talking about. Problem is, we're no longer there. 70 AD confirmed that Israel received the law. What further need was there for another priest to arise according to the order of Melchizedek? That's the way. That's the royal priesthood. That's what the Father's talking about, Exodus chapter 19, verses 2 through 6. He's already telling you what he wants before he even gave the commandments or the statutes or the judgments. Before both of them. And not be designated according to the order of Aaron. It's not according to Aaron. So that means Israelites right there just doing that just messed you up. Already messed you up. For when the priesthood is changed of necessity, there takes place a change of law also. So wait a minute. We still have law in the royal priesthood, in the order, in the way? Yes, we do. What is that? The law of God, which is the 10 commandments. That didn't leave. We still got that. There's a change in the law, but the ordinance and the statutes and judgments under the Mosaic law, that can't be because it's attached to the Levitical priesthood. How's the Levitical priesthood doing right now? It's not. How about the sons of Aaron? They're scattered. How about the temple? Nowhere to be found. We're the temple now. Moving on. You can go from Hebrews chapter 7, verse 11, all the way down to 24, okay? Now let's go to 1 Peter, because I want to make sure we lock this down so there's no escape and no excuses, no foolishness, okay? 1 Peter chapter 2, 1 through 12. Let's see what we got here. Therefore, putting aside all malice and all guile, and hypocrisy and envy and all slander, like newborn babes, long for pure milk, pure milk of the word, that by it you may grow in respect to salvation, if you have tasted the kindness of the Lord. And coming to him as a living stone, rejected by men, but choice and precious in the sight of God. You also, as living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house for a holy priesthood. Oh my gosh. What? Holy priesthood? Huh? But not under Levi? No, not under Levi. Under the order of Melchizedek, under the royal priesthood, under the way. As the prophet says, the Father said, as the Messiah was and is, and right now, and the disciples and the apostles. You also are living stones and are being built up as a spiritual house for a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Yahushua HaMashiach. For this is contained in Scripture. Behold, I lay in Zion a choice stone, a precious cornerstone, and he who believes in him shall not be disappointed. This precious value then is for you who believe, but for those who disbelieve. The stone which the builders rejected, this became the very cornerstone, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. That's the Israelites right now who are holding on to the Levitical priesthood, trying to move you guys. That's where they're at. They're stumbling, and it's a rock of offense for them because they can't and will not accept the fact that you can't go and follow under the Mosaic law anymore because it's attached to the Levitical priesthood. But you are a chosen race. Oh, that's Israel. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. That's also going all the way back to Exodus chapter 19. See a consistency here? No, not talking about Christianity. Has nothing to do with Christianity. Christianity is false. 100%. The Father didn't authorize, ordain it one way, no iota. Nowhere in the scriptures he's speaking about that. He's talking about the royal priesthood. He's going back to the beginning. And that's what the Messiah is in. The royal priesthood, the order of Melchizedek. He's our high priest. He's not talking about Christianity. The apostles aren't talking about Christianity. The disciples were not talking about Christianity. The first church weren't even Christians. They were called that as a work by Hello Satan to kind of get people all upset. And he basically said, well, Christianity is a religion. And he brought it and put his own religion in there. Just like he put his own people who claim to be Jews but are not, that lie, but are a synagogue of Satan. All of that's coming from the same area, by the way. Guess what? Turkey. Gee, when did Christianity make itself Christianity? When Constantine from Rome came over to Constantinople, right? And where? In Turkey. And then they said, okay, we're going to declare Christianity as the religion. There you go. Satan has already been working from the very beginning to try to knock it out because he knows that we're supposed to be going to the royal priesthood. Not going to Christianity or anything or any other kind of thing. This is the Father's will, locked in by the prophets. No getting out of it. But you're a chosen race, a royal priesthood. See that? A holy nation. A people for God's own possession. Wow, that sounds so familiar to what's coming out of Exodus chapter 19. That you may proclaim the excellence of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. For you once were not a people, but now you are the people of God. You had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Behold, I urge you as aliens and strangers to abstain from fleshly lusts, which wage war against the soul. Keep your behavior excellent among the Gentiles, so that in the thing in which they slander you as evildoers, they may, on account of your good deeds, as they observe them, glorify God in the day of visitation. Well, that's beautiful. Now let's go to Revelation chapter 1. See how this goes from Torah to Revelation. Torah to Revelation. I want to make sure we're clear about this. Now, for Israelites, your so-called ministers, your teachers better get on the ball. These are the verses. Go to work. I know my doctrine's right because the Father gave it to me himself. I already know what the Spirit gave it to me. I already know what it is. It's already in his word. It's locked in. It's not going. It's not going to change just because you guys feel some kind of way. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you feel. This is what he said he's going to do, and this is how it's supposed to be. And if you believe and love him and observe him and do what he wants done, you're going to go the way he said go. All right, Revelation chapter 1. Let's go to verse 6. Notice that he said that right there, royal priesthood and all that stuff. Same thing we're talking about Exodus 19, right? Look at this, Revelation chapter 1. And he has made us to be a kingdom, priest to his God and Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. What? Kingdom of priests? That again? Not Christianity? No. No, sir. Nada. Nope. Christianity has nothing. Christianity is false. All of it. And I mean every last bit of it. Top to bottom, inside and out. I don't care who you believe and who you accept and who you listen to. I don't care who they are. All of Christianity is false because it was set up by Hillel Satan, not the Most High God. The Most High God set up the order of Melchizedek, the way, the royal priesthood. That's what we're supposed to be going by. You guys are going by something else called Christianity that has nothing to do with the will of the Father. It is not backed or authorized or ordained at all. I got plenty to show that the way is the order of Melchizedek. This is what the Father's talking about. You guys are talking about Christianity, which is not the way. It's not authorized, not ordained. The Messiah is not backing Christianity. By no stretch of the imagination. By no stretch of the imagination is he backing it. But I know who is. You do too. The one who sent the people talking about, well, that's when they first called them Christians. Yeah, that's in Antioch. When they went to Antioch and did that. Well, where is that located? Well, that's when they were having a big fight with the 7 churches and everything. That's when the first battle was going on, the big battle. Now, we're like, well, they were keeping the law and they were following the statutes, ordinances. Why were they doing that? Because let's look at it this way. You ever seen a relay race? You have one person who holds the baton. The race starts off, they run, and they have to catch the other person, and they have a certain amount of space and time to put that baton in their hand, and then the person takes off, and they're supposed to go and run to the finish line. Well, the Levitical priesthood has the baton. What is the baton? The 10 Commandments. They're inside their hand. You're carrying the 10. The Levitical priesthood carried and still kept the 10 Commandments. Okay, cool. They get to the next person, which is whom? The baton is being passed. The Messiah picks it up and runs to the finish line. But not as a Levite, but as one of Judah in the order of Melchizedek, in the way, the royal priesthood. That's how we're all supposed to be going. So the baton's been passed. But now what happened? The baton's passed, the new church, the new way, the new will of the Father's in effect already taking place. The covenant's already started out. But what has to happen? You have to now dissolve the old one. 70 AD, dissolved. It's over with. It's done. Okay? It's finished. But before it dissolves, you already have the other priesthood on its way, doing its thing and running. The baton of the law has been passed. The law of God has been passed. The 10 Commandments have been passed over. Now the royal priesthood's got it. Now the royal priesthood's taking it down. No more going under the Levitical priesthood. And under the Mosaic law, you can't have Reuben be a priest. How's that going to happen? You can't have Benjamin be a priest. How's that going to happen? You can't have Simeon be a priest, okay? Manasseh, and so on and so on, the 12 tribes. You can't have them be priests unless there's a changing of the law because the priesthood is changed. That's why. You have to change the priesthood so they can now have the changing of the law, so it opens it up so all Israel can now be priests in the way, the order of Melchizedek, as the Father deemed and wants done. And again, not Christianity. You guys better get your act together and understand what you guys are talking about. And you obviously don't. And your so-called elders and teachers, man, need to get on ball. I tried to warn Yasharel. I tried to warn your elders, many of your elders back in the day when they were on, I remember when they were on YouTube, when they first started getting and trying to build up what they've been building up. And they were hard-headed then, they're still hard-headed now. It's up to you, though. The Messiah said, see to it that no one misleads you. I've given you the proof and the evidence right from the scriptures, from Torah all the way straight to Revelation. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not right. The Father is right. I just agree with him. What are you doing? Christians or Israelites? What are you guys doing? Playing. Y'all better stop it. I'm telling you, y'all better stop it. But having said that, there's a lesson. So Hebrews, Israelites invade Christian live stream. Okay, whatever. Okay, brother Hassad. Okay, you guys going back forth of the law. I'm gonna give you a link to the video I did regarding what's the difference between the law of God and the law of Moshe. Enough with the foolishness. A lot of Israelites coming out of that one West world. Let's be clear about this. If you don't have that knowledge, he will reject you. If you reject that knowledge of the priesthood, you will not be a priest, and you will end up being resurrected to condemnation. Okay? You will be resurrected to condemnation. What is that resurrection? That's the second resurrection, and then boom, that's it. You're out of here. You'll be rejected as his priest. You're only going to be the priest once you come up in the first resurrection, and that's when Ezekiel 36 kicks in. Really, it starts 37. Speak to those bones, those dry bones. You remember that? Okay. He prophesied to the bones came to life. That's the resurrection that's taking place. Then you flip it back to 36. Once we're resurrected, guess what happens? He gives us the spirit. He cleanses us with water. He gives us a new heart of flesh, and he gives us the ruach, a cellular, the Holy Spirit. This is the doctrine of the Besorah. Not that nonsense of the stuff that's coming from One West and all those various camps and groups. Nonsense. You don't listen to that junk. And for Christians, you don't even know what you're talking about because you're not even in the way in the first place. You're completely locked out. The covenant starts with Israel. It doesn't start with y'all. It starts with us. I distinctly remember that when you look at the new city, Jerusalem, that's the sanctuary that he's bringing down here. When he brings it down here, guess whose names are on it? Not a single Gentile in sight. No Christian, nothing. It's all royal priesthood, as he spoke about in Exodus chapter 19, straight from the jump. Father Abraham was a believer. We have the faith of Father Abraham. Father Abraham believed in the royal priesthood, in the way. Genesis 14. Learn, you guys. Stop playing stupid games. Play stupid games, you guys win stupid prizes. You don't want this. Israel, you better get straight. And Christians, you guys better get in the truth. You're not even there. You're way outside. Christianity isn't the way. Christianity isn't the royal priesthood. Christianity isn't the order of Melchizedek. Christianity is false and not authorized and ordained by the Most High God, period. I showed you straight from the scriptures. Not. No, sir. Even Paul didn't even cop to it. He was like, oh, no, man, I'd rather people be as I am. And he already told you he was in the sect of the Nazarenes. That has nothing to do with Christianity. It's something pre-existing Christianity. Unbelievable. What is nuts, man? This is crazy. When these people claim to be touched, anointed, baptized, saved, sanctified, and all this craziness, really? Don't sound like it to me. You're missing some things. Not to mention the basics. You don't even have the basics right. Learn the true Besorah and minister that. The Besorah of the kingdom. Nothing else. Period. Shalom.